Hello everybody, hello, welcome, and I think there's a mistake. I think you were listening to Starflyer and the little thing said Planet 9. I do apologize, but if you want to listen to the song, it's called Starflyer. It's from the same album. I'll have a link somewhere to correct it. Hello John, good to see you. Please do say hello as you come in, and we'll get started really soon. Today's gonna be a pretty relaxed chat instead of those heavy-duty lessons that sometimes I give you, or very often. And so probably next week we will go back to the modes and I will teach you a new mode. But today is going to be just a chat about gear, which seems to be what most people do on YouTube. And I thought, how can we make this interesting? And the reason is that I get so many questions about the Parker guitars. Because I'm a Parker artist, everybody's asking me where can they buy one and should they buy one and what's the difference between this and that. And before we begin, there are two videos that I made when I became a Parker artist, and I will link them. One of them is just me talking about the guitars, and at the time it was a very different kind of thing because I had them a bit modified from the factory ones, and so it was kind of an interesting video, and I made it for the guys at Parker. And then I made one with a little demo that I did in like 2 hours. I set up, I wrote something really quickly on a loop, and then I jammed on it for a while and recorded it and mixed it and just put it out on YouTube. And it is one of my most popular videos actually. And sometimes I get mad about it because I'm like, that took me like 2 hours for the whole thing, sitting down to getting up and leaving. And then some other songs, from my record, they don't get half as many views, but that's fine too. And so today is really about me probably more answering questions rather than talking about these specific guitars, though I will certainly give you a little background, and we might talk a little bit about how I got into Parkers and all the cool stuff. I prepared a couple of things, and then of course we'll take it where it goes. And hello John, hello that is Art, good to see you. I'm fine, thank you. I hope you're good. Reki, what's up? Good to see you. And John, greetings all from north of Tijuana. All right, pretty cool. Yes, I love Mexico. Are you actually in Mexico, or what side of the border are you at? I have a lot of friends in Mexico. I lived in California for many years and made a lot of good friends from Mexico, and I visited. I love it. It's a great country. But then again, I pretty much love any country, so no matter where you're from, I probably love it if you tell me where you're from. All right, so let me just adjust this. So before we begin, just a really quick housekeeping as more of you guys come in. Good news if you're into this kind of stuff, and a lot of you are. I have just finished recording all the exercises for the new book. And this is what this is what it looks like. You see, each of these little things is an exercise, and I had to record it, of course, from scratch, and I had to do it perfectly for you guys. I don't want to have any sloppy playing because that's kind of the example you want to follow. And I made it a little more difficult than it should have in this book and the other one too, but this is really harder because I played it all with a clean sound. And if you know legato and you play legato, you know that that's a bad idea. And so I started out and I said, okay, that's not too bad. And I was like, exercise 6, and I'm thinking, wow, I only have like 79 to go. There's 85 exercises in this book. But the book is almost done. I wrote the whole thing, I recorded it this past week. So it's almost done. I have to, make sure, double, triple check it for any mistakes or any sentences that are not clear. And then maybe I'll just put it out, all right? So I hope you look forward to it. And if you don't know, there's a book that I made just a few weeks ago. It came out about alternate picking, and it's only part one of a big guitar method that I'm writing. And the first part is going to be all about technique. So this first guitar method is going to be all technique, and legato is coming. So if you're into technique and that kind of stuff, check it out. I'll let you know when. And as always, please, if you're new here, consider subscribing, liking, commenting, all the good stuff. Everybody says it's for you because then you don't miss the videos, but I'll tell you the truth, it's for me because a bigger channel will help me reach more people. And I think sometimes that we have some pretty interesting stuff in these lessons, and especially in the lessons. And I would really like more people to get access to them, all right? So if you could subscribe, it would be very much appreciated. And finally, for those of you who ask and have been contributing, there's a link to PayPal if you want to donate just one thing, one time only, or over, once a month. It's all in the links. You can find it. It's very easy to find, but certainly you don't have to. You can just enjoy this, and it's plenty enough for me. All right, so what else is new? Oh, yes, you see that? I just got it back, the Revox, the Studer tape machine. It's back. It cost me a lot of money to fix, almost twice as much as they said it would, but it's really cool. And I'm thinking of doing something for you guys, using it to record something, I don't know exactly what, that I can then share for free with you. And I'm kind of, my head is spinning a little bit. I have some ideas in my head, and I will try to share something with you. I don't know when, but I will. So, stay tuned, and maybe one day you'll find a nice little folder full of, I don't know, tape machiney stuff, all right? And what else? And finally, thank you very much for the incredible warm welcome that I got on the first video of the chord. Have you guys watched the video on the chord, the new chord a week series? The C major 7th chord. So the series is gonna keep going for quite a long time, I think. I have plenty of chords to show. And not many views, but 90 views, there was like 20 something likes. So I assume it's because people like it. So maybe now YouTube will do its part and share with more people. But anyway, thank you very much. If you enjoyed it or didn't, let me know in the chat, all right? We're gonna get started with the Parkers. How many of you guys, hello Alberto, hello Jim, hello everyone. Oh, it's good to see you. I see there's a lot of you interested in the Parker guitars. We're gonna get right to it. So let me ask you first, have you ever tried one? Have you ever played a Parker guitar? Maybe a friend's Parker, or maybe you own one. I know a few of you sometimes are in the chat who own Parker guitars. So let me know. And in the meantime, I'll give you my story of how I got to see how I discovered the Parker guitars. And it all started a long time ago. No, I was already a guitar player. I played in a band. But as I talked about before, back then and back where I come from, well, I'm from Milan. It's not like a small thing, but I did live on the outskirts of Milan, and there was no internet. People, we played in bands, and everybody was kind of just making stuff up. A lot of us didn't have lessons. Only one of my friends had music lessons, and we all tried to steal stuff from him, like, show me this chord or show me that, and he wouldn't. He's like, no. I'm paying for my lessons. I'm going to my lessons, and I have to, I have to deal with the teacher who's a pain in the ass, so I'm not giving you anything. And so we're just kind of fumbling in the dark. The good thing about it is we always kind of figure stuff out for ourselves, and that helps. Hello, Kike. Hello, Alberto. Wow, there's a lot of you today. Yes, I've been watching chord video. Interesting. Really cool. Thanks. It's a great series. All right, cool. Well, I'll keep going then. There's a cool one coming Tuesday. All right, they're gonna come out on Tuesday. So anyway, I was playing in a lot of band. Well, in my band mainly, in the band that I was in, we were playing big stages. I was only like, well, no, at the time, not yet. At the time, I was just playing with friends. And we went to a music store in Milan, which has just moved a few years ago, but it was called Lucky Music. It's still there, just in a different place. And we were walking, we couldn't buy anything. So we would just go and maybe buy some strings. We were very shy, I think one of my friends is like, he didn't even know what strings were for. And, the guy at the store, they were all like real assholes. So we would go like, what do you want? And he's like, I would like some strings. What strings? Like the ones for a guitar, stuff like that. Really sad. And at the corner, they had this big wall with hanging guitars, and it was hanging like at this height, right? Like my guitars. There was a metallic green Parker Fly. Metallic green. It incredible. Like, because the thing that struck me was, I thought, any other guitar could never pull it off. It couldn't pull off the sound of this guitar, or the color that this guitar has. It was this bright metallic emerald green, and I was just standing in front of it for hours. Well, not for hours, but certainly for a long time, because they had to drag me out of the store. And I was looking at it, and it cost, I don't know, it must have cost like, I don't know, 5 million liras or something. Thousands of dollars, of course, and euros. And I couldn't get I couldn't keep my eyes off of it. And then I think I touched it or something. And so, I go home and I keep thinking about these guitars. And of course, this is even beyond dreams. My parents always treated me very well, and my parents always encouraged me to play. They didn't get it, but they did always. They were very positive. They came to see my concerts. It was not for that. It was just that even in my own mind, it was unthinkable to spend more than maybe mine cost maybe 300. What would it cost? I don't know, like $200, right? And so that was beyond. It wasn't even a dream. I couldn't get the shape and the whole thing out of my head. So a month later, we go back to the store, and I go, "Where's the Parker? Where's the Parker? I can't find the Parker." Somebody has to buy a pick or something. And I look, and then I see it all the way up there. So they saw me drooling over it, and they just moved it all the way to the top at the top of the wall, so I could never touch it or grab it or even just look at it. They wouldn't even let me look at it. And then when I became a Parker artist, I thought about going back, and then I said, yeah, that would be an asshole move, so I didn't do it. But that's how I first saw Parker, and then it took me years to see one again. But I think that's when the seed got planted. Alberto says, after some video chords, would be interesting some progression chord video with them. Sorry for stopping. No, that's fine, Alberto. All right, I'll think about it. I have to be kind of focused on this because I think I have to think of it. It's a good idea, though. Thanks. I will think about it. And John says, here in the USA, guitar centers have real assholes working there too. John, I used to. By the way, you work in San Diego. That's beautiful, and you live in Tijuana. Best of both worlds. I used to work. Not a lot of people know this, but I used to work at Sam Ash. Now, if you're not from America, Sam Ash is kind of like the competitor to Guitar Center, and they're huge stores, and they change, so they have stores all over the country. And I used to work at one of them, and yes, sometimes you think, what am I doing here, right? And what's the purpose of me being here? Is it helping people or just selling stuff? But yeah, so as a matter of fact, when I travel back to the States, I basically stay away from guitar centers, which is crazy. Because you know what? One thing though, if you walk into a guitar center or Sam Ash, check out the used stuff, secondhand stuff, and really ask for a better price, like a lot better. Because the policies they have, I won't get into it, but you can ask for a good deal on secondhand stuff, and there's a lot of margin for them on there. So my advice is, if you walk into a guitar center or a Sam Ash, probably other stores too, look at the secondhand stuff. If it's in good shape, ask for a huge discount and you probably get it. That's my advice. And so if you have questions about anything, especially the Parkers, now let me tell you how I got involved with Parker. And yeah, this title is a bit long, but basically what happened was right after Feel the Sky, I was playing another brand of guitars, and which maybe we'll talk about some other time. But things weren't progressing quite as I thought they would with those people. And great guitars, great instruments, and they're still going, of course. Great guy, the guy at the front is called Ramos, Sergio Ramos. And did I say Sergio Ramos? Ramos Guitars. Sorry, I was watching the news earlier. And Jose Ramos, and he, great guitars. But I couldn't quite figure out where we're going from. What the stuff I was doing. I was working on a project that was pretty big, and then I was going to do more instrumental records. And so I needed something different. And the guitar came back to my mind, and I thought, I really need to go with somebody who will, basically follow me in these new ventures. And I didn't want to change, but I did change. And a few companies gave me a couple of offers, and I said, no, I'm going to try to go with Parker. And I looked at the prices of the Parkers, and I said, okay, this needs some kind of, agreement between me and the brand, and it took me a long time. I told the story before, but you know, I had to deal directly with America, and every night I would call the office, very lovely lady at the front desk, and I could never talk to anyone, and it took me I think between 40 and 60 phone calls. So if you guys get frustrated sometimes and you think your career isn't going too well in music or anything else, and people are not paying the attention that you think you deserve, it happens to everyone. I had to make 1,000 phone calls, and then eventually I got an email, sent the email, and I sent my stuff, and got a response within 10 minutes. So 2 months of work or 3 months every night calling at 12 o'clock at night for me, because I had to call America. And then 10 minutes later I got an email, and it's like, yeah, great, I love the music, and yes, we'll do something. And that's how I got involved with them, and we made an agreement, and so part of the agreement was these two guitars. These were made to certain specifications that I gave them. These two. This one, this is all backwards. This one is something else. I'll tell you about it. But these two are Mojos. That one, the white one, and the black one, and that one is a deluxe. All right, so we can talk a little bit about those two. And as a matter of fact, let's talk about them. So these are the custom Fly Mojos, and these were not produced for sale. All right, so you can't actually get them, but you could. They told me. Besides the point now because they're closed, but back then you could call them and ask the custom shop to make one just like this one. Not the color, I'm talking about the specifications that I change on it. All right, so you see, this is the most beautiful color in the world, and this doesn't do it justice, but you know, there you go. It's called the Solar Flare, and I know I discussed this before, but it's just so beautiful, right? It's like an oil thing in a galaxy or something. Incredible. So this is actually my main guitar. Not for the color, but just the way it plays. This has become my number one guitar. I use it all the time. I can do whole shows with just this guitar. Never do anything. I never even tune it. You know, the last show we could play was probably a couple of years ago. We played for an hour and a half. All of my music. So imagine that, you know, it's all whammy bar and bends and a lot of playing, and I never tuned it once in the whole concert. There's a few videos I think on the internet. And let's see, some questions. Hey Jenny, what's up? Good to see you. Smoking hot? Yes. Oh, the guitar. I'm just kidding. What is the tremolo? Yes, the tremolo is a system by Parker. So it has a spring. I'm gonna talk about the mods later, but this is my main mod, the Velcro at the bottom. You see and don't mind this. This is a mess. I modified it. I'm going to tell you later. But this is the spring. The spring is actually a steel bar, like a little steel plate. And the 9 is because it's set up for 9 gauge strings. There's another one with 10, then I got one with 11, but I use 9, so this is the only one I use. And basically what this does, when you pull the bar, you see it compresses or stretches the metal plate. All right. So no, it's not a Floyd Rose. It's a Parker system. Okay. So you have this little thing here and this here and this plate in the middle, and the strength of the plate will dictate what strings you can mount. So if I were using now 11s or 10s, this plate wouldn't work because it would just start to fall backwards. So, but it is floating two-way. As a matter of fact, let me see if you can hear. Yeah, so you're hearing the guitar. So if I'm playing, I can go up, but then perfectly in tune. I abuse it on stage, and I almost never have any problems tuning. Although this is my most stable guitar. You know, these things, the more you use them, the stablers that's not a word, the more stable they get. And so this is the one I really trust 100%. I played live on radio. I played it on TV. You know, this is, you have to trust it. and doing all this crazy stuff. I think that time I were on TV was like, the first song was Power Fantastic, which has the bar right away. And so I said, hopefully we'll, but it never let me down. This is a great guitar. Now the other ones, I use them, especially the white one, that one, I use live a lot, but some things I'm not too comfortable with just because I really abuse it. But that happens with a lot of guitars. So this is really special. This is my main instrument, all right? And it's a beautiful finish. It's called Solar Flare. This is the last one they ever made, I think, in this finish. As a matter of fact, that one too, the white one. We'll get to that. So what's different with these guitars? Well, Parker was working with, I'm gonna tell you how I got them, then I did more things to it. But Parker worked with Seymour Duncan for a long time. So when you bought a Parker, you had Seymour Duncan pickups on it. And I could try them because if you watch the encyclopedia, you've seen me with two Parkers that are not these, because I recorded that after becoming a Parker artist, but before they actually sent me the guitars. And so I found two, one from a friend of mine who works here at my music school, and he bought it. He bought a red one, beautiful cherry red, and that has Seymour Duncan. And I had a friend of mine, my drummer, he lent me an old Parker from the 90s, and that had some strange pickups we'll talk about later. But so these would have come with Seymour Duncan, but I was really used to the Fred pickup by DiMarzio and the Puff Pro. That combination, I used it for a long time on most of my guitars. And so I called them and said, you know, when you make my guitars, please make sure that you get these pickups on. And they were like, we can't do that because we work with Seymour Duncan. So eventually we were able to do that. And so that's the first difference. Not a huge thing, but you know, I enjoyed the Seymour Duncans. They're the classic. I think that the JB and the 59 or something like that. Very basic and good sounding pickups, but you know, I changed them. And we were debating on the headstock. As you know, the old one, imagine it without this wood here. The old one was just that, and it was beautiful. I really enjoyed it, but you couldn't put any color on it, you know, and they said, we'll make the old one if you want for you, because they were only making these then, because then you can hang them, all right? With the old headstock, you couldn't hang them without a special plasticky thing. And so, you know, in the end we said, no, okay, let's do the new one, and then we can have this cool finish here. And that's the one. This is the Solar Flare. This is my main guitar. And this one, do I have something about the mods? No. Okay, so I'll talk about it now. This one I changed a lot. I stripped it down a lot. So first of all, I removed all the screws because you never know when you have to get in there. And then I bypassed completely the piezo pickup. So that's the acoustic sounding pickup, which comes from the saddles, picks up the sound, and it sounds like an acoustic guitar. But for live, I don't use it. So I didn't want it, you know, I want my main guitar, I want it to be just, you know, as simple as possible for the sound, but also because I don't want anything to break. So if you have 50 things on it, then, you know, you have 50 more chances of breaking. And then, so I bypassed this whole switching board here. And as a matter of fact, I think I just had, at one point, I even got rid of the tone knob, but then I missed it for the clean sound, so I got it back. But really, this is, even though it looks like this, it's extremely simple. It's just pickup, volume, tone, and selector. Everything else is bypassed, but I can still make it work if I plug in differently, but I never use it. So this guitar, for some, is sacrilege to do what I did, because you don't buy a Parker to strip it down, but hey, you know, it became my favorite guitar ever, and I want it to be just the way I need it to be, and so this is as stripped down as possible. All right, probably affect the resale value, but I probably never sell it, and even if I did, I could revert it back, but again, it's probably not gonna happen. 9-gauge spring, they are unavailable. Yes, Mark, I have a couple of them, and I have a few extra ones. I think I have 2 or 3 just in case, but I don't think they ever break. Pretty guitars, Mark. You can hang old flies by the top horn. Really? Oh, I see what you mean. I didn't know that, but I know they were selling some plasticky thing that you could but then it was a pain in the nut. I don't know. I didn't want to do it, so we went with, I don't mind the new one. The old one is very pretty though. What else? Oh, one thing that I love about this guitar is the stainless steel frets. You know, that's great because the frets are not actually, you know, they're not they don't go into the wood. They're just glued on the fretboard. Some people had problem with the frets falling off. That's a big problem. But luckily, I've had only one time it happened. Put it back on, and never happened again. And I've been playing this for the last 6 years. So this is the other guitar. This is a clone of that, of the Solar Flare one. And this is also, by the way, if you look at the walls behind me, now that's a bit stupid, but look at that ice blue there, and that yellow, and that black one, right? You can see the black is for this. The blue, I copied this color. I actually mixed the color for it, and the yellow is this color. Well, as close as possible, right? So that's the decoration of the studio. But anyway, this guitar, let's see, same thing. I bypassed the piezo pickup, but I didn't remove all the wiring. So this actually, as long as I plug it back in, put a battery in, I should have the piezo sound back, but it's still out of the loop. So I would need to plug a different cable, because I really don't like, that's one thing you might keep in mind. I don't like the sound of the electric Parker with the piezo in line. Even if you're not using it, it does sound like something's wrong with it. And some people don't mind it, but for the stuff I do, it really took out a lot of expression for me. So these are all bypassed. And then the rest is the same. The color is called Ice Blue Burst, and it's a beautiful color. And this is certainly 100% the last one that was ever made, because they didn't have that color anymore. So this was the last tube of paint that they used to make this. So yeah. So same as the last one, same pickup, same everything, and beautiful guitar. It sounds a little more defined for some reason. This sounds a bit more aggressive, but also warm. I don't know how to explain it. And this is a little more snappy. So for some things it works very well, for some melodies. This is really overall my main guitar, but that one I use it a lot. Mystic Electric, I used a lot of this guitar as well. Hello, Juan Pablo. What's up? Long time no see. Andy Y. Hola, hello. You should show off your Tonelli model. The Jose Ramos. Well, it's a beautiful guitar, but it's way back there, and I won't move anything. But certainly, I've always said that I really enjoy that guitar. It was just, you know, it was time to switch things up a little bit. What are the differences between the Fly and the Night Fly? Oh, by the way, these are Mojos. Did I say that? These are Mojos, in case you were wondering. The difference between the Parker, the Night Fly, remind me, is the Night Fly the one with the different horn? No, that was the Max Fly. I think the Night Fly is they had a cheaper version, and the body was not contoured, and I think they didn't use the epoxy, because you see it like this here, but all the back of the guitar is covered with an epoxy, a carbon epoxy, and that makes the guitar incredibly stable, because you see how thin it is. Now this is crazy. Let me show you with another guitar that you'll see it better, just for the color. Okay, look at this. You see how thin it is? There you go. It's incredibly thin, and a lot of guitars, you know, you can't go so thin because they will break under the pressure of the strings. But they use that epoxy, and the Night Flies didn't, so they were thicker. They were a lot thicker than these, and they were, you know, just cheaper. But I think the bridge was the same. And I played a few, but they weren't bad. They weren't bad. The Parker looks like it's very light. Most of them are. Now these are mahogany. Both of them, the Mojos are mahogany, so they're very light, of course. They're just a little bit heavier, but still extremely light, because look at the wood, you know, there's so little wood. But they sound great, you know. I recorded a lot, all my, you know, my last two records, they're basically Parkers. And this one is extremely light. This is basswood. I can lift it with one finger if I could. I'm not gonna do it. But But it's yeah, Ricky, I think it was the cheaper version. They weren't bad. They weren't too bad. But for that price, though, there were options that were different. You know, I maybe would have looked at a different brand. Nightfly has a bolt-on neck. That's true. That's the other thing. And it has a fatter profile. Great, Mark. You know a lot about the Parkers. Yes. So the Nightfly, it was the flat-bodied one, and yes, it didn't have the contour. And here you had four bolts, and so for that, then I would probably look at different brands. You know, I didn't think it made a lot of sense. But this is very light. This is made of basswood. Now this is a different guitar. This is not a Mojo because you see it there, but this is a deluxe, and the deluxe was basswood, and it came with pickups. And this specific guitar, well, the guys at Parker told me that they had a few laying around, and me and a few people who were on their roster. One was Adrian Ballou, great guitar player, amazing guitar player. You know, played with Bowie, with King Crimson, but great guitar player. His solo stuff is great. You should check it out. Amazing guitar player, and well, amazing musician. He's a great musician too, and composer. You know, played with Zappa. So, and you know, we got an email saying we have a few guitars here. If you know, you're interested, they have a few things and we can sell them. And this one had this tiny little, I don't think you'll ever be able to see it. There's a little scratch right there. It's half the size of my fingernail. And so I got an incredible deal on this. You know, I don't know, I think they were just treating me nice because I was playing their guitars really. I didn't, you know, it was an amazing guitar, and I said, okay. And these pickups are strange because they are a Seymour Duncan pickup that was designed to kind of approximate the sound of the old 90s Parkers. And they explained it to me and I didn't quite understand it, but it sounds really, because the old Parker guitars, a lot of people say they were built very well, but they had a kind of a colder sound, a more clinical sound. And it's certainly true of this one. It sounds a little bit clinical. It sounds, let me just play it for you. Now, I don't know if this is in tune or not. I have to admit, I haven't used this for a few weeks. Yeah. So it's almost in tune. When I use this pickup, you'll hear it very bright. Very snappy. I have no idea what I played. But for today, I didn't prepare the whole setup, you know, muting the guitars and all that, so forgive me. I didn't think I would be playing much, but so you hear how it sounds quite a bit more clinical in a way, but it's not a bad way. You know, to me, it sounds pretty pleasant actually, but I use it, for example, for some of those, you know, recurring riffs, maybe some of them that are like with complex voicings of chords, and I wanted to sound a bit, you know, mysterious. And actually I used it in Mystic Electric quite a bit because some of those songs, you know, with electronic stuff, it makes, and you know, it works great when you put them together because this one can, you know, it kind of stands here, you know, a bit in front because it has a snappy sound, and this is the fat sounding one, the black one, and they sound really good together. Whereas these two, they're very similar in sound. What amp am I using? Right now I'm just using the Kemper for just being able to switch if you want to hear it with distortion or clean. But usually I play Marshalls. I have a lot of Marshalls, and I have mainly the Plexi and the 800 I use a lot. I have a JVM, a 2000. I like to find Marshalls secondhand when they're destroyed and try to fix them myself. Got electrocuted once, it wasn't fun, 240 volts. So Deluxe has a poplar body and a basswood neck. That's right. Did I say just basswood? No, that's the neck. It's true. Mark is right, and it has a poplar body, very light, very light. I'm not one of those who are extremely convinced that the wood you use in a guitar has that big of an impact on the sound, But with the Parkers, I think with the stainless steel frets, I do find that the way the string, you know, vibrates over the fret, I'm noticing more than other guitars. I switch pickups around in my guitars a lot, and I can always hear the sound of the pickups a lot more. You know, people say, well, this wood and that wood. And one of the best sounding guitars that I got is that one. This black one here, it's an Epiphone. It's $300. Put on some great pickups, and it's maybe the best sounding guitar as far as pure sound goes. Not the most versatile, but pure sound. It's a beautiful, beautiful sounding guitar. So, you know, I experiment. I don't get too into the details. If they're not musical details, like this is not helping me do this, so I don't like it. But I'm not a nerd in that sense. I don't worry about most things that a lot of guitar players worry about. But I do like gear. And so from now on, I think any question should be asked, should be referred back to Mark. Mark, you seem to be an expert. How do you have Parkers? I'm sure you do. Let us know what you got. And so the sounds, so the mods, I kind of gave this away before, but yes, the pickups were changed, and the pots, I have to admit, the pots Parker used, they were not the greatest. These are all. This is the pot for the acoustic, all right, and this switch too. So because I don't use them, I don't care. But these two, I changed them to new ones. And the switch is the first thing I changed. I got the guitars, and 2 days later I bought some very good switches, and Soundcraft, I think they was that right? And I changed them. And what else? The pickups were changed, of course, nothing else. And then I just removed pretty much everything from the inside. I still play a lot a regular Parker. The red one, I often pick it up and play it, and I have to say they get you 90% probably to where I like to be. But for most guitar players, you know, they would kind of have to figure out what that 10% or 5% is, and it's going to be different from mine anyway. So one thing that I would suggest though, if you don't like anything in the way between you and the amp, then I would, if you have a Parker, figure out a way. I won't tell you how, because I think somebody destroyed their guitar. They couldn't put it back together after I told them how to. Remove the acoustic, the piezo, remove it from the equation. And you can wire it in a way that maybe you can plug in a stereo cable, or you can plug in, or you can even put a separate hole. But that's one thing that I would always suggest doing, removing the acoustic, because I could 100% hear it, especially with distorted guitars. Right, so that's one thing I would suggest. Otherwise, these are great guitars as they are. And the next thing is, should I get a Parker? Because I get asked all the time, and how and when. So first of all, let me stress this. Parker is closed. Parker is done. We don't know if it's coming back or not. I don't have a lot more information than you guys have, because there's nobody there now. So I don't think I'm giving any inside information away. There is no Parker guitars right now. There were talk of somebody buying it, you know, some big company buying it and resuscitating the brand, but it probably is not going to be this. These were very expensive to make, extremely expensive guitars, and very involved. And you know, the factory was specific to these guitars. They were made in the USA. I don't know if that's possible again. So I can help you. I can help you find a Parker, but I will give you a little bit of advice if you want. First of all, is there might be some Parker guitars still out there in stores that haven't sold. Now, there's not going to be many, because people know that Parker's not around anymore, but it's also true that they're expensive guitars. And I do know of one person, for example, here that told me that they found one, and it was expensive, but it was brand new in a store. Ugly color, but he found it. So you might be lucky enough to find one at a store new. And that's it. And then the second-hand market, the prices are pretty high. And I would say that, and I can say it because I understand, you know, they're incredible guitars. I love them, but they are expensive. So if you're spending that much money on a guitar, you have to wonder if you truly need what these guitars give you. In my sense, doing instrumental music and the kind of music I do, I need something that's, you know, on the edge of modern, but with a classic sound. And you know, for me, it was perfect. It was maybe better than most other guitars. It's also true that if I had picked up another brand, that, you know, we had conversations with other brands, I would be probably and maybe as happy with the, you know, you kind of work with what you got. So as far as advice goes, if money is an issue, I would probably look into something else, because when you buy secondhand, there's always a risk, and these guitars are very specific. You know, you're gonna have a hard time finding a luthier who's able to reattach something on the neck because they're built so differently. Some of them won't even touch the frets because they don't know how to use the method they use with the glue. You know, the insides are pretty complicated. It took me weeks of studying the circuitry just to remove one thing from the whole thing. So I would say if you know what you're doing and you really are determined, yes, you should buy one, because it is a great guitar. They're incredible guitars. And I have no interest in saying that. I'm not even promoting them. And after Parker closed, I was approached by other brands saying, hey, you need a new guitar? And I'm like, what for? Just, you know, I don't need more guitars, and I'm really happy with them. So I'm not saying that it's not going to happen in the future, but for now, there's nothing that I found that would replace them. That being said, make sure you're 100% sure that you're getting into very expensive guitars, and they're very specific. And the parts are not going to be too easy to find. And the more, as the years go by, then it's going to be harder to find the springs, and it's going to be harder to find, you know, parts of the bridge which are completely original, and so on. So that's one thing. And the other thing you might want to keep in mind is that they're just a bit wider. The neck is just a little bit wider than most guitars. So if you have smaller hands, you should try one before you order one, or you buy one online, because they are just a little bit wider. So if you have smaller hands, you might have a hard time in the beginning. Okay, so that's my advice. But don't ask me about it. You know, don't ask me if I know anyone, and don't ask me if I can talk to Parker to give you an endorsement, because I couldn't before, and I certainly can now because Parker's not there anymore. So, all right. But you can ask me any questions you want. But, you know, it is the truth that it is what it is. Now Parker's not there anymore. My aunt gave me an Epiphone in 1984. I still have it. Oh, that's beautiful. Your aunt sounds like a cool woman. That Epiphone is like a Gibson 335, but 10 times cheaper. Yes, it is. And you know what? One day, somebody came into the studio and he had an original 335. Cost 2,000 euros. Beautiful guitar. I have to say, the finish and the wood, it was beautiful. We plugged them in, and I said, okay, close your eyes, tell me which one you like best. And he picked 3 times out of 3, he picked mine. And, you know, it's just, it is the way it is. Some great records were made with cheap guitars. Didn't Van Halen just make one up from the cheapest parts he could find? Brian May made one. Imagine that. Now they tell you all about the specs of this guitar, and the wood was built from, you know, the guitar was built from a special wood that comes from some, you know, exotic planet where they have the best sounding wood in the galaxy. And then Brian May makes a guitar from a fireplace, and I think a piece of a table. And, you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. These don't matter. It doesn't matter. You can make great music with anything. But the Epiphone, certainly I could suggest. But I do say that I will say that the Epiphone, I played a few of them and they didn't play as well. The feel. So if you buy a cheaper guitar, I do suggest that you go to a store and you say, bring out all the dots, right? And play them all. And if you click with one, then you're probably in good shape. You know, make sure the neck is fine and, you know, the finish, and then you can switch the pickups. And that guitar sounds incredible. As a matter of fact, I think both of the books, the audio is recorded with the guitar because it's very pointy and present. And it has a lot of body, so you can hear all the things. Not the easiest guitar to play though. And legato on the 20th fret is not the easiest. But I do that for you guys, just so you know. It's all in the wrist. Yes, Andy Y, it is. All right, so is there anything else? No, that's it. Q&A, time for your questions, if you have any. I hope it wasn't boring. And that you, I don't know, you got to know a little more of these guitars. You know, it's so hard to see them nowadays. Nadre, by the way. All right, cool. Where are you from? That's a... Oh, Andre, like me. All right, that's a beautiful name. Great. And so let me know if you have any questions or you want to know anything about these or anything else. You know, if you have any ideas for next week, we'll do a video on a mode. Okay, we'll go back to the modes. Just I didn't want to do a lesson today. I don't know why. I thought I was a bit tired, and I said, you know, maybe they are tired too. Maybe they just want to sit down and have a chat. Did you ever play 7-string? You know, Jim, somebody asked me that like a couple of weeks ago, and no, well, I play them. I don't have them, and I wouldn't probably make them my main instrument because I'm still trying to figure out how these work. But at the same time, I would love to have one, to own one, and to take maybe 2 months with it, you know, and really dig deep in it, but without listening to 7-string music, right? Because just trying to figure out for myself as if I just invented it. And I wouldn't mind doing that. I think I would come up with maybe a couple or 3 songs that were very specific to the 7-string. But I don't have one, and I don't know if I'll get one eventually. You know, it sounds like it would be just a little, like the 12-string acoustic, you know, it's like, okay, how much am I going to use it? But I am looking for, you know, I'm probably going to get one eventually, and maybe borrow one for a few months and compose something for it, and then probably, you know, get rid of it. The problem is live. You know, when you go live, I don't want to have to carry. That's the other thing. I'm a bit lazy, you know. When I play live, when we play concerts, when I get to the show, you know, people in other bands are like, "Oh my God, you know, it's just a guitar and an amp and 2 pedals," and it's true. And it's not because I'm a purist, although I am a little bit, and it's not because I'm not trying to be cool or old school. It's just that I'm so lazy. I am lazy. If I can do something with 1 pedal, I don't want to use 3. If I can get an amp with 12 channels that does all the sounds and they sound great, that's all I want. And if and that's I've always been like that. And so live, this guitar has been so important to me because I just use this. As I said, I can play whole shows with 1 guitar, and if anything happens, I pick up the other one. But so to me, it's one of those things. It's very important. Just 1 guitar. In the studio, I like to explore a bit more because if you do instrumental music, then you have a responsibility not to make your audience go like, I can't stand it anymore. You need variety, and you need color, and you need shade, and you need light. So different guitars bring those things out. But you know, I made albums with 1 guitar and 1 amp, Power Fantastic, with all its quirks, because it's the first time I ever recorded anything. It was all made with 1 guitar and 1 amp. So there's something to be said about having 1 guitar and really bonding with it. And this is really my alter ego. That's cool. I'm looking for an electric guitar, so it's great you did a video on your guitars. The tip for a used guitar, even better. Yes, the tip for a used guitar, certainly try them out. And the good thing about guitars is that really, if anything should break, it's easy to fix, unless it's the neck, you know, or structural. But you'll see that. You'll see if it's structural damage. But if somebody sells you a guitar with a bad pot, then you just buy a pot and solder it. It's really easy. Amplifiers, you have to be more careful. You know, but guitars are pretty simple stuff. Vince, Parker Flies are the best. That's all I use. Oh yes, Vince, I know you have a few. I think you said once that you have a bunch of Parkers. And I'm sure you and Mark are way better at all the details about the Parkers. But yeah, they're great guitars. And you know, if you got them, then good for you, because I don't think I don't know, I have no inside information, but I don't think we'll see Parker again, at least in the shape and form that it was. I doubt that somebody could make this viable in today's world, you know, made in the USA and expensive and quirky and with all the machines designed just for, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I find it hard to believe that we'll see them again. All right, so Jim, Locrian, maybe, I don't know. I'll mix it up. I don't want to go through all the modes one by one. I don't want to be the mode guy on YouTube. But is the guitar balanced by that top horn for carrying? This one, you know, I never carried like this, but I guess so. I guess so. But you know, the cool thing is when you do hang them from your neck, look how lazy I am. See, I'm using the same. I went out and I got 3 of the same straps. They're the same straps on all my guitars. So it's pretty balanced. And just from one finger, I'm holding it with one finger. Look at that. And if I put it just a little bit more straight, look at that. So you can actually walk around and it will not move. See, still imbalanced. And no, the horn is an aesthetic thing. Some people don't like it. As a matter of fact, Parker made the Max Fly, I think it was called, where the horn was like a regular guitar, but I thought it lost all its charm. You know, look at this. This is incredible. See how they're parallel. I don't know. It looks like a spaceship, but old. And Vince says, unfortunately, they are done. Yeah, that's what I think. You still have hope, though. That's good. You have hope, but it's slim. Yeah, I don't think, you know, maybe we'll see them again, but I just don't think it's going to be the same thing as before. It might be better. I'm not saying that the old stuff is better, but I just don't think we'll see them in the same shape or form. So that's why I was saying earlier, if you are into Parkers and you really know you want one, then I would say that you should probably get one secondhand without waiting for them to come back. Hello, Rob. I hang my FHT with a camera strap just to piss off the Les Paul players. That's funny. Kike, Gibson will buy them and relaunch them. Yes, or maybe Behringer will make a clone. Yeah? I wish, you know, if Behringer made one, maybe I would buy one and smash it on stage. But yeah, Gibson, you know, Gibson though now I think they're doing things a bit better, so I don't think they want to resurrect a brand that had a hard time, you know, financially. I think I heard that Ken Parker, the guy who designed this in the 90s, he said that financially it was a really difficult thing for them even back then. That's before all, you know, before all the financial crisis and you know, the world changing basically. John Martin will start making them out of Mexico. All right, and Behringer for a third of the price. Well, if Behringer made them, they would make them for $300. But you know, the thing I think that's very difficult, and you know what, the Night Flies, they're nice guitars, but the Night Flies, I kind of, to me, I didn't get the point of them, because once you get rid of the shape and the thinness and the coat of carbon epoxy, once you get rid of all of that, then basically you have just a regular guitar. And I think for regular guitars, there are guitars that are at least as good or better and are cheaper. You know, so what makes this guitar special is the whole thing together, the neck and the way it binds to the neck, to the body, and you know, you lose that. And so unless you make this guitar, then I don't know if it's worth it. And I don't think anybody can really make it for a much cheaper price. My guitar flops downward by the headstock, so some finger exercises are kind of hard. An Epiphone. All right, well, sometimes it happens, but you know, you can probably adjust to it. He said we're making $10,000 guitars for $2,000. That's what Ken said, yeah. So, you know, I think Ken moved on to doing acoustic instruments now, extremely expensive, and he makes one at a time, and that's another kind of market, I think. But these, I just see these as very difficult. But you know, please remember that I don't have any inside information. All my contacts at Parker have moved on, and there's nobody there. If you call them, there's literally nobody. So my word is just, you know, what I'm saying is just basically speculation. I can hang a sandbag off the back of the body to counteract the weight. Don't do that. That's not a good idea. But yeah, you adjust to anything. For years, I played this guitar, the V. Now the V has a strange body shape, and I played it for many years when I was a kid. My dad bought it for me when I was 16. So I was very serious with the guitar. I would practice all day, every day, fall asleep on the guitar. We went to New York City once, and he bought me, at Manny's, he bought me that for, I don't know, $500, which is crazy. And it was used. It was already white. It was white, you know. Now it's as yellow as the wall, and that guitar has a very strange shape and weight ratio. But I played the guitar for thousands of hours, and you can kind of make do with anything. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. That is art. Just maybe adjust the length of the strap, or you can do anything. It's like when you hurt your finger. I used to have this big phobia of losing a finger. Like every time I did something, I'm gonna lose a finger, and all this work and all this practice, and I know I'm gonna lose a finger. And then I realized, you know what? If I did lose a finger, then I would adjust. I would play different music, and I would, I don't know. I would. You will kind of deal with anything. So if the guitar goes a bit like that, then it's fine. It's fine. All right, cool. So is there anything else you would like to ask me about the Parkers? Well, me or the two experts in residence here, Mark and Vince. If you have any more questions for us, let me know. If not, let me remind you, this Tuesday I will have a new video on the chords, and it's going to be a cool one. And a chord that I think you'll think you know everything about, but there's always something new to learn. And then next Saturday we'll do a live stream again, as always, 6:30 Central European Time. We're here, and we'll do a mode. Okay, we'll go back to the modes. And the second book is almost finished. I will announce it very soon. And maybe I'll hold on to it for a couple of weeks because I don't want to, or month, because I don't want to release them so quickly, to give you time. And the new album had to stop for a second because I was finishing all this stuff, but I'm still demoing all the songs, so I will let you know. That's a bit more involved than this stuff. So let me know if you have any more questions. Otherwise, we'll just leave it here. Almost an hour. Oh, by the way, I made a little poll on the YouTube channel and asked if people wanted shorter videos. And less than half, but quite a few of them said that yes, the videos are a bit too long on Saturdays when I teach, because it's so much information, But I thought instead of changing the Saturday thing, I would just add the shorter videos on Tuesday. So the shorter videos will be the chord videos for now, and I will leave this format about an hour long, where I teach and do questions. All right. So if you're cool with that, we'll leave it like this. All right, guys. So, and girls, maybe a short session sometime on how to build riffs. All right, that's a good idea. That's a good idea, but a huge subject. Great channel you have here, Andrew. Keep the Parker Fly alive. You certainly have some beautiful guitars. Thanks, Vince. Yes. Well, I know you got some really cool ones. And if you ever make one on your channel, then let us know and we'll come and watch it. All right. And everybody, keep making music. Don't worry so much about this guitar or that. Write some great music, record it, put it out. Let us know. We'll go out and buy it. All right. Okay, a long session would be even better. Yeah, I'll keep these just as long. Well, today was a bit of a chat, but usually, it's more of a lesson thing. John, all right, John. Well, it's good to see all of you. I know you're from all over the world. I really appreciate you doing this on a Saturday. I know you got so much stuff to do on Saturdays, and you're here, so thank you very much. I'll see you next week. We'll do a mode. I don't know which one. I'll think about it. All right? Maybe I will surprise you with a strange one, or maybe a more common one. I don't know. Thanks again, Andre. Have a good day, Eve. All right, peace out, everyone. As Darizar says, thanks very much again. Please, if you haven't, subscribe. If you're new, if you're watching this from the future, it's very much appreciated. Reki, John, Jenny, everybody else, Vince, Jim, everybody. Andre, have a great week ahead, and I'll see you next Saturday. Bye-bye.